Okay guys, we're back. There we go. We got our bearings pressed back on. We're going to put it back on the shaft here. I put a little bit of never seize in that hole, right? So that same thing, steel on steel. We don't want it to seize in there if it ever gets wet again. And I'm just going to very gently wiggle this back on here. Just kind of line it up. Give it a little spin. There we go. You might have to put your finger up here to push stop the shaft and going back up in. Okay, at this point, it's kind of messy, but here we go. His bearing going into a steel or aluminum surface. What I want it, sorry, I'm going to reach across here. There's the magic stuff, right? Before I put this in here, I'm going to give this just a little dab of this stuff, right? That means the next time, if I ever have to take this apart again, it's not going to be a problem. And the never seize doesn't hurt anything, right? Don't get it on your fingers and touch your clothes. Horrible stuff. Okay, little wiggle. She's right back where it was. Yucky yuck. We're going to put our little fastener screw that we kept in a special spot so we didn't lose it. I'm going to slide that back in there. Okay, I'm going to stop for a second. Now, we got to remember, this whole apparatus is spinning all the time, right? You're pedaling away. All these little parts are moving all the time. Probably won't happen. But something like this, it's possible that it vibrates its way out. You're out in the middle of the lake, the screw falls out, the gear drops out. That's the end of your drive, right? So here's when we get into the look. That's a little safety thing, and probably when you take it apart the first time, you'll find all these little screws are quite tight, and that is that Loctite, okay? They put a little tiny drip of that on there to prevent that from actually managing to work its way out. So we're gonna grab a little bit of it. Okay, so remember, Loctite is a brand name, okay? The silver stuff that I used is called Never Seize. This stuff right here in the blue jar, that's what we're going to use next. A little drip of this, Vibratite, another brand name, it doesn't matter. You just want something that says removable, okay? So blue Loctite or blue Vibratite is serviceable sealant, right? So we're going to take this little screw and we're just going to put a tiniest little tiny drop on here. Okay, you can see how much I put on. Just a tiny little bit, right? Okay, we're going to thread this back in. That's going to prevent the screw from ever coming loose, but doesn't make it permanent enough that when I want to take it apart again, it'll be a problem, right? It will come back out. Okay, so I'm just going to thread this in. I might have to just push on that little gear like that. Kind of a tad awkward. There we go. Yeah, just make sure it goes in straight. We don't want to cross thread it or something.
Just hanging on to the gear.
I was holding on to the gear. It's awkward because the thing's trying to move around on me here. Okay, I'm just turning my screw back in until it's tight. Doesn't have to be reefed up tight. That Loctite's going to do that for you, right? It's going to hold it. This is the stuff. Remember that? Never seize? This is what it does. I touch, 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 touch. It goes everywhere. So don't touch your clothes with this stuff. That's why you got to have a couple shop rags. It's kind of awful stuff. A little bit spreads out a long ways. Okay. So we're just going to pick this up. Just make sure that's little screw is in there fairly snug. I'm just holding the gear with a rag. Maybe you can't see, but there. That's lots, eh? Don't have to make it too tight. Okay, so our gear has been replaced. The bearings are fresh. That's good. Next step, we want to put our casting, our lower skeg part back on, right? Okay, so we're going to do something a little different. First, we're going to put the gasket, okay? We're going to lid it in there. I suspect maybe that's where our water's getting in. So I'm going to do something different. I'm going to go back down to my shop for a minute, and I'm going to get a little tube of marine silicone, okay? Silicone that was meant for boats. I'm going to put a little bead of it around here to help seal that. I suspect that maybe that's where it's coming in, okay? So we'll pause for a second.